Welcome everyone to Midjourney's Prompting for Beginners. Today, October 4th, 2025, we are starting at about 11 a.m. Central, maybe 5 minutes after. We are just giving people time to join the stream, whatever else they want to do, grab a drink, jump in. Find out if all the sound is working, everything else we need to do to make sure things go smoothly. We've got some of our regulars here already. Johnny and Himbo. If you have an echo, you want to mute the stream and listen to me only on Discord. If you're watching this somewhere other than Discord, please don't mute the stream or you won't hear me at all. But if you're here on Discord, mute the stream because I'm also coming in over microphone. Welcome those of you joining here on Discord. Remember to mute the stream and say hello in chat. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Welcome, Southern Belle. You said you'd be here and you're here. Remember to mute the stream, those of you joining in Discord, so that you do not hear me twice. Welcome, Crud and Lou Dog. Welcome, Arthur Erdhart, who I think I just accidentally dragged from Prompt Battles. I hope Prompt Battles isn't doing anything up there. Welcome, Kurd, Kira, our pal, and Martin. You are so welcome. Please say hello in chat, you guys. If you are hearing me twice, it's because you're watching the stream and you're listening to me on Discord. So mute one or the other. And we'll get started in just a few minutes. Bonjour, comment ça va? Je ne parle pas français, mais j'ai 12 ans la universitaire. Hello, hello. Shalom, salut. Konnichiwa. What are some other ways to say? You said bonjour. Yo, what's up? Howdy. Mushy mushy. I feel like this guy and I are like wearing similar clothes in color. I need to do what he's doing. Oh, wait, the people on the stream can't see. Can't see him animating. Welcome, welcome. This is Midjourney's Prompting for Beginners. We will get started in just a few minutes. My name is Clarinet. I am the owl with red glasses. You might notice my eyes doing strange things. That's because I'm a little bit low vision. And occasionally one eye travels faster than the other. Makes me fascinating to have on cam. If you are here and can hear my voice, please say hello in chat. To find your chat, you just look for the speech bubble icon next to the Promptcraft room in Discord. So there's 3 columns. The stream is in the center column. The chat will be in the right column after you click the speech bubble icon. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Welcome, Crude. Thanks for stopping by in chat to say something. It's very helpful. I hope you all are going to show up in chat here. Can look over at the chat there, because that is super helpful. Bon matin. I like it. My name is Clarinet, and I work for Midjourney as their prompting educator for the community. I also do some documentation stuff with the community that sits beside the formal documentation from Midjourney. If anyone wants to join the Midjourney volunteer staff, you can send me a DM or just show up in the Promptcraft chat channel and start helping people. We're always looking for helpers. Be careful, Johnny might recruit you. Welcome, Roxetti. Welcome, Atika. Grafika. Okay. I'm sure there will be people joining slowly but surely as the class progresses, and we tend to stay pretty much on on schedule, even if there aren't a whole lot of people in the live class, because hundreds and hundreds of people watch the recording. So there's that to keep in mind. So let me first just mention, Johnny, is it just me, or can you see this sort of moon-like window at the top? Is that displaying for everyone? Looks like a circle with like a bed in it. That is Poodle Cam. And occasionally my giant golden standard poodle with a freckle on her back will come sauntering in and lay down on that bed. And it's just fun to watch her do that. Welcome, Wee4466. Oh, left immediately. I don't know where she is now. I think she's lying down slightly in front of the bed, just out of sight of the camera. It's like she knows the camera's there. A standard as opposed to a draft poodle, yes. But she's big. She's bigger than normal standard poodles. So in some circles, they will call her a royal standard poodle because she's so big. So she might show up. That's what that circle is. Might be Poodle Cam. So, all right, everyone, welcome. Welcome to Midjourney's Prompting for Beginners. I'm glad you could all make it today, whatever else you had going on. For the next couple of hours, we're diving into the basics of prompting. Not really. We're diving into the basics of prompt troubleshooting, which is kind of like the basics of prompting. We will take a quick break, probably somewhere in the middle, for you to do whatever you need to do. Stretch, existential crisis, grab some water, whatever you guys want to do. You're in the right place. If you ever typed something and hit enter and then looked at the result thinking, this is absolutely not what I asked for. Anyone show of hands that that's happened to? This is absolutely not what I asked for, Midjourney. Thank you. It's beautiful, but it's not what I asked for. But it's beautiful, but it's not what I asked for. So yeah, this is our space to figure out how to get Midjourney to actually give us what we want and to learn to troubleshoot the prompts we write to make them more effective. And to do that, we're not going to talk about like writing the prompts. We'll do that, but we're not just going to talk about writing the prompts. We're going to peek under the hood at how Midjourney actually thinks. And here's how this will go. I'm actually going to draw what I'm talking about on screen so you can follow visually, and you'll also see the prompts in chat and as I run them, and we'll build from what went wrong to sort of how to troubleshoot it and how to figure out why Midjourney did what it did and what to try next. So here's the sort of check-in that I'll occasionally give you guys. Welcome, welcome Ground Rules and the Existential Crisis. How's your vibe? Are you curious and caffeinated? Or slightly overwhelmed but hanging in there? Or already questioning all your life choices? Or something else? You can respond to this with an emoji, or you can type in an emoji, but I am curious how you are feeling. I will give everyone a beat to do that. Oh, Johnny Bones is feeling skull and crossbones. Okay. Southern Belle is green heart. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. I am just, let's see, prepping the device, which fell asleep while we were talking. So this is just a high tension, suspenseful moment before we begin. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas, guys. All right. Wow, look at that. So, okay. What's today? Today is 10:04. And we are in prompting for beginners. And how is this looking in terms of speed and such, Johnny? Since I know you're there and helping me out. I think I'm going to change the type of pen so that it's not so dynamic. Prompting for beginners, okay. So we're going to start by watching how prompts go wrong, because they will go wrong. And that's actually sometimes the fun part. I mean, for me, and you guys tell me what you think, I think there are like two basic strategies for using Midjourney. Two basic strategies. I think you can sort of explore and discover on the one hand, where you could give it words with no particular outcome in mind, and you're just exploring and discovering and sort of pulling the lever of the dopamine casino. I even have a GPT set up to help me play like that. I really, really enjoy it. Here's the Explore Discover GPT that I use. You're welcome to play with it. It gives you just random varieties of words, which you can then paste in the whole thing because it gives you like 100 words or just fragments of the words or whatever. Excellent for brainstorming. So I really do believe 100% in explore and discover. There we go. But whoa. And that brings me to an important point. And Southern Belle, you've heard me make this point before, that there's explore and discover teaches us that there's no right way to prompt. No right way. Right, because there's no templates and no advice that anyone can give you that works all the time. And I say that because I don't want anyone to sell you anything. If you Google around, you'll find a lot of people with master classes and stuff, but there is no right way, and there are no prompt templates that work the same way all the time. But when you're aiming for a specific image, I mean, because this is just about going in every direction, right? This is about ideating and going off in different directions and exploring. But there's also when you're, trying to bring everything together. And when you're aiming for a specific image and something's off, there are systematic ways to troubleshoot. And aiming for a specific image is called prompt adherence. That's what you're hungry for. If you're hungry for a specific image, because that's one approach over here is to pull the lever, see what happens, dopamine jackpot. But sometimes we're not here for surprises. We have a picture in our head and we want Midjourney to actually meet us there, right? So we want prompt adherence. And I think you're here because you have specific visions and you want to learn how to guide it, how to guide Midjourney to realize them. So this is, I think that a lot of you are here in the prompt adherence side. But let's see if I can paste this in. Which one are you mostly? Because I don't think it's or. I really think it's and. I think it's and. Explore, discover, and prompt adherence, and back and forth too, depending on what you're after. But what I'm trying to tell you is that prompt adherence is where we are with troubleshooting. There's no need to troubleshoot explore prompts because they do what they do, and that's the point. Himbo says, lately I've been prompting, then using very subtle and very strong to see what it gives. Then choose the best image to edit it to make it better. Iteration, iteration, iteration. Yes. And before there were so many tools at Midjourney, as part of the Midjourney app, that's really all you could do. Is we called it chasing. We had our classes back then were like, you have 4 images because you're in Discord only. And you get this one, you get this one, you get this one, and you get that one. So which one is closest to what you were after? Oh, this one was. Oh, okay. So, whoops. So if this one was, then you do another variation, and then you get slight variations on the one you picked. And then you say, well, which one is closest to the one I liked? Well, it was this one. Okay, so you do another variation, right? And then you get even more, and then they start converging, right? and then you do another variation, right? And there's this sense of this flow toward convergence on the image that you're after, because we had no other tools. We just had vary. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't strong, it was just vary. And that's how you zeroed in on your image. And it was called chasing the image you want. You chase it through the variations. It's very old school, Himbo. This is very old school. Whoops, my pencil disappears. There, this very old school. You are right. We don't have to do this so much anymore, but you know what? It's still a great process. It gets you much further than you'd think. So what Himbo describes is definitely worth thinking about. But knowing which mode you're in, you know, whether you're in play or precision mode, right? That changes how you will troubleshoot your prompts. If you're exploring, it's kind of the feeling is any prompt will do, or it doesn't matter what kind of changes you make. But if you're aiming, then you're looking for accuracy. And so what kinds of mistakes do we see Midjourney make? And how are we going to address the mistakes that Midjourney makes? Well, I lump them into three categories. So let's talk about three categories of mistakes. 1, 2, 3 categories of mistakes that Midjourney makes. Okay. The first one I call missing or dropped details or lost details. You can tell me what you want to call it. That's when your prompt specifies a detail and Midjourney just leaves it out. Midjourney just doesn't provide it. So let's take a closer look at a prompt. A lot of people think that you start missing details if the prompt is too long, like that's when things go wrong. Southern Belle, I know you've heard that if your prompt is too long, right? Well, I'm going to prove to you that it has nothing to do with the length of the prompt. Doesn't have to do with the length of the prompt. Let me grab Midjourney, which Midjourney's hiding here somewhere. Here it is. Okay. So here's Midjourney. I'm going to go to create. I'm going to paste this prompt in. Here's the prompt I just pasted in. A young woman wears, who wants to count details with me? I'm going to unmute Johnny Bones just in case Johnny's actually here. Hey, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, let's count these. You read it and I'll count. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, hold
Cool.
on. Let me switch back to the iPad. Okay. You read, I'll count. Go.
A young woman wears a floral scarf, red glasses, a purple vest, engineering boots, and carries an orange leather purse. She wears her black hair long, braided with pink feathers. Her ankle-length skirt is bordered with stars and moons. She wears a dark purple sash belt that dangles down her hip. She is standing in a library, holding out her library card to the old librarian behind the counter. Journalistic photography.
Wow. Okay. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Is that 35? 35 details, more or less. So was Midjourney able to capture all 35 of those details? At a glance, no. She's doing an interpretive dance here. I don't know what she's doing. But Midjourney has dropped details. It hasn't included the old librarian behind the counter. It didn't braid her hair with feathers, right? So this is what I mean, Southern Belle, when I say Midjourney drops details. I know you've encountered this before. There we go. Sorry, this is the one I was saying was interpretive dance. I have to remember to flip the scenes. Flip the scenes. These are the 4 we got, and you can observe how Midjourney absolutely failed to. I mean, they're great pictures. Well, some of them are great pictures, but Midjourney did not get everything right. So that is blending. Excuse me, that is dropping details. The next one we're looking at is blending. Okay, 1, 2, we're on number 2. Blending. Let's look at blending. Definition. Okay. Blending is when the AI mixes characters or objects together so they don't stay visually separate. When we see uncontrolled blending, we see everything starting to take on characteristics of other things in the image. We also there's also desirable blending, right? Or controlled blending or something. This is when we create cool hybrid animals. Like sometimes I create a puppy, let's see, a hybrid chimera puppy macaw creature. Puppy macaw. So here, hopefully we'll get desirable blending. Yes. Yay. Look at this. Is this not the cutest thing? So this is desirable blending for our puppy macaw. Ah, they're so cute. Okay, but there's also undesirable blending. Like, I'm going to put this in. Bunny, hedgehog, mouse, and a fuzzy monster have a picnic. So let's see what undesirable blending looks like. I'm telling you these words so that when you want to talk about what's happening in your prompts, or you want to ask for help, or you want to talk to yourself or others about what's happening in your prompts, you have the right vocabulary for it. This is called reification. And I've just reified the word reification. It's when you make something concrete, in part by giving it a word. So now we know what blending is because we can see that Midjourney was unable to keep the mouse, the hedgehog, the fuzzy monster, and the bunny separate. Which one's the hedgehog? Which one's the monster? Which one's the mouse? Whoops. It's very hard to tell. We've got 2 bunnies. I don't know what the mouse is. Maybe the mouse is this cake. I don't know. They're all very cute pictures, but they are not distinct creatures. So that would be blending. That would be our second mistake that Midjourney makes. And the last one, I'll put a reminder here. This is the bunny monster hedgehog. The last one is called incoherence. And incoherence is when Midjourney's output stops making visual sense. So this happens a lot. I'm making this face because I'm wincing because I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Figures, objects, or scenes, they kind of lose internal consistency. Like a person might have 3 arms sprouting from their shoulder. All or parts of the composition have collapsed into visual nonsense, right? And you notice how short this prompt is, and Midjourney still messed it up. Here's an even shorter prompt. This one is 3 acrobats do cartwheels on the beach. Three acrobats do cartwheels on the beach. It's an example of incoherence. Do you see how messed up this is? Like, this guy has 3 arms, and his leg is broken. His leg is on backwards. His head is on backwards. That's disturbing. These two are almost clowns. I don't know what's happening here. This is an example of incoherence. He has 2 heads. That's cool. They all have 2 heads. I think they all have 2 heads. So incoherence, we see this a lot. I know you guys are familiar with it. I see Southern Belle laughing. I'm like, yeah, it's funny, but it's really frustrating. So let me check in with you guys. I know not a lot of you are responding to these, but regarding missing details and blending and incoherence as the major mistakes that Midjourney makes, which one annoys you more? What annoys you more? Is it when details go missing, or when things are like soupy blended together, when things are incoherent? I am most upset with blending because it's harder to fix. It's the hardest one to fix. Incoherence, I feel like I can go in with the editor and sort of like select the extra arm, and Midjourney knows about coherence, so when I fix it, it clears up. Missing details, I can often cram it in with a fix to the prompt or with the editor. Blending, the problem is everywhere, and I can't get in there and fix it. So I'm in blending camp as the most obnoxious one. Himbo says the third leg, working with fingers, is a nightmare. Missing details, says Solange. Southern Belle says missing details. Okay, so we're all over the map. Is there anyone else in the blending camp with me? I'm lonely. Okay. So what can we do is the question. What if these are the 3 mistakes Midjourney makes? What the heck can we do? What can we do? That's the question we're asking. Well, frankly, the first thing we should do is make sure we're in control of the canvas. If you think of your image as a canvas that you're sort of painting or crafting on, if it's not controlled with the prompt, Midjourney defaults to its own learned stereotypes. Now, you're going to hear me talk about these learned stereotypes a lot. Midjourney learns stereotypes. So if you type lumberjack, you're going to get the same looking guy every time because a lumberjack has a stereotype, right? Can you guys name in chat some stereotypes that belong to the lumberjack? Can you name one visual stereotype of lumberjack? I can name one. It's super obvious. I don't want to say it in case somebody else. The beard, the plaid shirt. Yeah, plaid shirt. Definitely. You think of the axe. That's the one I was thinking. I was like, yeah, definitely tell it's lumber or serial killer. Yeah. No, me too. Yeah, so we know about visual stereotypes. When I say lumberjack, you got something very specific in your head, and we all shared the same specific image in our head. That's the archetype. That's the stereotype. So we have to make sure we're owning the canvas. We're the artists, not Midjourney. So the most basic troubleshooting step, the first thing to learn, the first thing to ask is, hold up, am I actually controlling it? Am I making like do I have a fighting chance? Am I even trying to control it in the prompt? That's at the most fundamental level. So at the most fundamental level, we want to make sure our prompt addresses the full sort of digital composition. So if you think about what's on your canvas, you've got some sort of subject, and let's see if I can get my dotted line going here. You've got some sort of subject, and you've got or a focal point. I'm drawing up this box here. This is your frame, and in the middle, I've got the blob, which is the subject, the thing you care about. And around it, the context or style, everything else Midjourney fills in unless you do, right? So I suppose we can do one which is like everything, which is the style. So let me label these. We've got the let me label these. We've got the subject, the background or the context, and the style or aesthetic. So these become the fundamental things we want in our prompt. Like, let me give you a random prompt here, and everyone can answer these questions. A woman drinks from an owl-shaped mug sitting in a cafe, editorial photography. So what do you think is the subject of this particular prompt? What is the subject? Any guesses? If anyone's on voice, you can answer in voice if you want. I know Abby and Johnny are on voice. Yep. We've got one guess from Himbo. I heard someone unmute.
I agree with Himbo.
Himbo, the woman. Okay. Okay, so what's the background or context? Context,
Cafe.
subject, focal point. These are other words for the same thing. The cafe. Very good, Southern Belle. So what's the style or aesthetic of this prompt? Photo. Himbo says it's a photo. It's an editorial photo. Editorial photography. So we've got all three of these. Is this a prompt template? It could function as one, but that's not what it is. It is not. Yeah, exactly, Southern Belle. That is exactly right. This isn't a prompt template. I mean, you'd be tempted to say maybe I should write subject, background, style. Maybe this is subject, background, style. Like maybe this is my prompt template for the win. But actually, it's more like a checklist. So you've got your focal point, and you've got your context, and you've got your aesthetic, right? And think of it as three questions you ask yourself while troubleshooting. Did I describe the subject clearly enough for Midjourney to know what to focus on? Did I describe the background or context so it knows where this is happening and has a chance to get that right? Did I include a sense of style or aesthetic so it knows how to render it, so it has a fighting chance to even get close to what you're thinking of? So your prompt could be a single phrase. It could be 15 sentences long. The order almost always doesn't matter. What matters is that these three things are present. So you can say, okay, oh yeah, I mentioned my subject here and here, and I mentioned my context here and mostly here, and I mentioned my style here and here. So, I can check all these off. I got them all, right? That's what you're doing. What matters is that these three elements are present somewhere in your prompt. And when they are, you have a fighting chance of controlling the canvas. But if even one is missing, then you can bet Midjourney will rush in to fill the gap with its own visual stereotypes, right? The default stuff that it learned from its training data, which I keep calling archetypes, right? So now we are on our way to writing prompts that do a pretty good job of controlling composition, because we have this concept of a checklist. So let me paste this in. Control it yourself. Which is more you when you're prompting? Do you feel like the artist? Do you feel like you're in a codependent relationship? Do you feel like you just work for the algorithm, probably minimum wage? What is your thought about that? For me, I don't know. You're a lost puppy, huh? Hemo says there are some things you can't really put into words, and that's why I use very subtle strong so much. I choose I'm the artist. Very good. Southern Belle is a lost puppy. Well, hopefully we'll get you out of that feeling by the end of this. Welcome, Spirit Power. Some problems can't be solved with prompting. And in our advanced classes, which is where Southern Belle actually hit the advanced class first, that's where you can learn when you need to use multiple steps involving the editor or retexture or remix or references or whatever. But as beginners, we explore prompting more than once to chase the image we want. We explore prompting more than once. We write the very best prompt we can, the one we're convinced will do the trick. We're convinced that it'll do the trick. We've done the subject, the background, and the style. We have the fighting chance. It seems clear. But if it doesn't do the trick, then we tweak the prompt. And that's the next thing to talk about. What a weird header. Tweak the prompt. That's just really prompting more than once. Because the second troubleshooting step is to note where Midjourney is departing from our vision and address that in the prompt. You sort of prompt smart and then add support for problem areas. And then add support. So this is troubleshooting step number 2. I will paste it in. Prompt more than once. You need to know what the prompt will do, because the prompt won't perform the same way twice, necessarily. And all the tactics that you created for that prompt last week may not apply. Those tactics may not help you with this prompt. So you need to know what the prompt will do. You prompt again to support the details Midjourney misses, which might be blending, incoherence, or missing details. So you add descriptive support for details Midjourney got wrong or that are missing. You add clarity in the form of correct punctuation, grammar, and spelling, because I will show you how much that matters. So let's take a look at this in practice. Remember that woman drinks an L-shaped mug, drinks from an L-shaped mug. Let's look at what that does. See if I can zoom in a little here. Okay. A woman drinks from an L-shaped mug sitting in a cafe, editorial photography. Right. Add clarinet in the form of correct punctuation, grammar, and spelling. Exactly. So looking at the outcome of this, maybe one of these images are exactly what I wanted. But I'm sort of annoyed that she's holding her coffee like sippy cup style, like this. I'm going to drink some of this coffee. Can I drink it sippy cup style? I couldn't. I wasn't brave enough. I don't have handles. So a woman drinks from an L-shaped mug. It's not giving me what I want. I didn't know that it wouldn't. It sounds like it's gonna, but it doesn't, because it was a sippy cup thing, and I'd rather have her holding it in one hand. So the first thing I have to do is whack your prompt through the prompt helper. You could put it through the Clarinet's prompt helper, which is Midjourney-trained prompt helper. It's not Midjourney's. It's Midjourney-trained, so that you can get some automatic troubleshooting. So you don't, but it also helps you learn how to troubleshoot. It teaches what's in this class. So if you like that idea and you don't already have the URL, bother me in a minute and I can give you the URL. So a woman drinks from an L-shaped mug. I have to get rid of it. I want her to hold it in one hand. The first thing I have to do is add descriptive support for my new idea. Descriptive support for my new idea is to just say that she's freaking carrying it in one hand. I mean, I have to put it in the prompt. I don't have a fighting chance of controlling it unless I put it in the prompt. So I did. Well, great. Now what happened is I spent just enough time on the owl-shaped mug that, remember we said the woman was the focal point? Now Midjourney is a little bit confused. Hold an owl-shaped mug in one hand is a dominant enough phrase that Midjourney's actually dropped the camera and is looking at, do we have poodle cam? We do. Do you see the poodle cam? Just notice that. I totally derailed myself. She made a huge groaning sound. I'm not sure you heard it. We have to realize that when we start spending a lot of time on a detail, we're suggesting to Midjourney that might be the focal point. So Midjourney's like, you're very precious about the description of this mug. Allow me to zoom in on it. That seems to be your focal point. So, something about mug that it always has two handles. I think what it is, Himbo, is that mug always has one handle, and Midjourney we'll learn about conditioning later. When Midjourney conditions the image, it finds it to the position on this side is just as correct as the position on that side. So it doesn't erase one of them, because if you check your data about mugs, is it okay? Are these pixels okay? They are. Are these pixels okay? They also are. So I think that's why it always has two handles, and why mugs often appear held like this, because it's correct on both sides. So if the rule is, as this establishes, if the guideline is that if you start spending time on it, the camera will move to look at it, then using that logic, Southern Belle, how might I lift the camera to see so it looks back at looks back at her face? Using that logic. If spending time on the mug put the camera on the mug, then how might I put the camera on the face? Mention the eyes. Mm-hmm. And why would that work? Southern Belle, are you having a hard time typing? Let me unmute you. Southern Belle. You're unmuted now. Hello?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. I thought it might be easier for you to respond to me out loud.
Sorry, I'm doing two things at once. What did you ask me?
Oh, I was just wondering if you were following along, if you had an idea of how, if we spent time on the mug in the prompt and it dropped the camera to the mug, then using that logic, how would we get the camera to look at her face?
Ooh. How would we get to look at her? Maybe could you say that she's drinking it, taking a sip out of it?
Why would that work? I mean, to explain your logic to me.
Because then you have the mug in her face, and I don't know how to say like pan out. I don't know how.
You can't give it camera directions, not very reliably. You can't say pan up. Midjourney doesn't take instructions or commands. But notice that when we started spending more time on the mug, right? Owl-shaped mug, it just, but if I spent more time on it, owl-shaped mug in one hand, it dropped the camera to look at the mug. So using that logic, how would I get the camera back up to her face?
Would you tell it to focus on her face? Just that simple?
You would describe her face.
Okay.
You would have to mention your face. Just like we spent more time on the mug, we'd have to spend more time on her face in order to drag the camera up. So let me go ahead and change the prompt then. This is why I pulled you back, Southern Belle, because this is really important. Okay. It'll solve a lot of your particular problems for you in particular.
Thank you.
If I spend a little more time on the detail, then Midjourney, this is how it goes, Southern Belle. Midjourney is going to strive to obey your prompt. If you put her face in the prompt, the only way Midjourney can obey is to move the camera so that her face is in it. This is also how you get full-length portraits. If you mention the floor and the feet, but you also mention the hair and the sky, Midjourney is forced to pull back and show the whole figure in order to obey the requirements that you've given it, that it must show these things. Do you see how that works?
That makes sense to me. Yeah, I see how that works. That makes sense to me. I yesterday when I was prompting, I was irritated. Well, not irritated, but a little bit puzzled about. I was in some sort of weird category of, I guess, prompting or visuals, and everything looked the same. It wouldn't. I couldn't figure out how to get out of this, and I noticed some of the other people are using like dash chaos and I was like, what is all of this? I don't know what it means.
There are all kinds of cool parameters. They're all well, the just like we talked about getting the camera to show a face or getting the camera to show the mug, you put it in the prompt. And remember, the first troubleshooting step is, did I control it in the prompt? Subject, background, and style. So you wanted to change the style, you would have to check your prompt. Did I say the style? Did I ever say it? And if I did I ever change what it said to reflect more of what I wanted? So these are the troubleshooting steps. The second thing you can do is take whatever's missing and add more support to it. Another thing you can do in the same category of tweaking the prompt is to make sure that your spelling and punctuation and grammar is correct. Do I have you looking at the screen? Yeah. So I'm going to make just as an example, okay, I'm going to make what's the word? A panda eat some bamboo. So a panda eats shoots and leaves. So this is going to make a panda eating some bamboo. He's eating some shoots and leaves, right? But if I change the punctuation to a panda eats shoots and leaves, then all of a sudden he has a rifle. Okay. So Midjourney really, I'll explain why later, but Midjourney sort of it's doing pattern matching based on the punctuation. It's not that it's an LLM and it understands punctuation. It's not like ChatGPT, which I'll show you in a minute. But it does understand punctuation and it does understand periods and things. And so it's helpful to pass through your prompt and go ahead and add those things in, only if it's misbehaving. Don't worry about it if it's not misbehaving. But it's one of the troubleshooting steps.
Okay,
so,
got it.
Going back to, I know you have to Alt-Tab away here. I'll hide the pandas to get out of the way of our story with the woman in the mug. I got the camera back up, but she's still holding the mug with two hands. So, okay. All right, let's think through this. So again, the whole entire point here, it says that we're playing a game called Raid Shadow Legends. Oh, that's Spirit Power. Too funny. Okay. It says the whole channel is playing that. Okay, bye, Abby. So using the same logic of if you put it in the prompt, maybe it'll happen. And Midjourney strives to obey the prompt. Midjourney will try so hard to obey the prompt. So if you put face in the prompt, Midjourney is forced to lift the camera. Then one of the interesting tricks for controlling the pose of your characters is to make sure that you, not Midjourney, but you have decided what the person is doing with both their hands. Because in this prompt, I've only said she's holding an owl-shaped mug in one hand. Midjourney is checking this, and guess what? It's true. Even in the ones where she's holding it in two hands, she's at least holding it in one hand. Right? So, okay. So if that's how Midjourney is going to be, and it is, then I have to control her other hand too. So what if I say that she's got her phone in the other hand? That's something that people do. They drink their coffee, they hold their phone. It's pretty natural. How does that go? In many of these, it works. In this one, Midjourney got confused and made an owl and a mug and a phone. But 3 out of 4, just when you're judging your prompts, hi humanity, when you're judging your prompts and you're trying to decide, is this a strong prompt? Did I do what I'm supposed to be doing? Did it work? Did it work? Is it right? These are weird questions to ask ourselves, but we ask them anyway because we're human. And if you get like 2 or 3 out of the 4, that 4 is called a batch. If you get like 2 or 3 out of 4 in your batch, you've nailed it. Don't worry that one of them's off. Midjourney has a lot of randomizations in it. If you're getting 2 or 3, that's a very strong prompt. If you get 1, it's a decent prompt. If you get 3, it's a strong prompt. So don't knock it. And I mean, you can try the trick of using the full Monty with all of the punctuation and the spelling and the grammar. And once I add that, you can see it's stronger still. This was 3 out of 4, but when I added punctuation and spelling, it's 4 out of 4. So you see how much it was just a smidge stronger to use correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So that is troubleshooting step number 2. And I'll paste it in again for those of you who joined a little bit late. Prompt more than once. You need to know what your prompt, the prompt that you thought was the best prompt you could write. What does it do? And then get surgical. Prompt again to support those details that Midjourney got wrong. Because Midjourney will strive to obey your prompt. And if you put it in the prompt, Midjourney will contrive some way to include it. Sometimes that'll help you. Sometimes it'll hurt you. You can add clarity in the form of correct punctuation, spelling, and grammar. So now I'm going to show what happens when you write a good sentence that's good for humans, but bad for AI. Just spend just a fleeting moment on this very long literary style prompt, which is the sort of thing that an untrained ChatGPT would give you. Sorry about that. I'll explain that seed stuff in a minute. Her hair was in a bun, the kind that had been undone and redone so many times it stopped pretending to be neat. Her eyes were brown, her hair was brown, and she sat in the cafe like she had always been there. What stood out was the mug. It was shaped like an owl, but in the way certain shops make owls fashionable. Its wide ceramic eyes and carved feathers carried the self-conscious air of stylish purchase, the kind of thing you find near vinyl records and soy candles. She held the owl mug in one hand and her phone in the other, each item a small declaration of her belonging or her wanting to belong in a place where even your coffee cup said something about you. Now that is a super meaningful sort of paragraph for a human being, but for Midjourney, it took us backwards. This one worked out okay. The coherency went down. Do you see her fingers are weirdly placed? She's got a weird tattoo on her hand. I don't know. That's not bad. This one, we lost the fact that she's holding it in one hand. Her phone is gone. We lost control. Is it because the prompt is really long? No. It's because of what the prompt asks for. Vinyl records, soy candles. These things are tokens that Midjourney is struggling or striving or contriving to put in the picture somehow. And all the time it spends on those things is losing time that we could spend on the things that are right. She got a little weird finger tattoo right there. We lost control of this canvas. Excellent, did you say? It looks painful. We lose control of the canvas is what happens. It's too many abstract, non-visual tokens. And we'll return to that if we have time to talk about chaotic tokens later. So regarding this whole prompt again point, do you get why we iterate? Do you see how repeating prompts build control? Do you at least get it conceptually? How are you feeling? And those of you watching on other channels, or frankly, those of you watching this as a recording, you can still answer. Just drop it in your chat. I'll see it. Okay. Thanks, Johnny. So it's constantly repeating. What do you mean there, Gigi? Style Saga Studio. When you said reiterating, it's us. We're the ones who have to iterate. We're the ones who have to see what the prompt does, make some small changes, try that, see what it does, make some small changes, try that. It's like we're sculpting, we're guiding. And this is go ahead, Southern Belle.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. Is there a certain structure that we should use when we're setting up our prompts?
So
are there key elements or something that we should have there?
So I'm going to go back to the key elements. The key elements were covered a moment ago, and they are your subject, your style, and your focal point. So I'll write that again here. Excuse me, and your background, your subject, your style, and your context or background. You should at least try to control those three things. Is that, as Southern Belle just asked, is that some sort of Mad Lib or prompt template? It is not. It is more like a checklist. It's more like a checklist, Southern Belle. So you have your focal point and your context and your aesthetic or style, and you check your prompt, which may be long or short, and you make sure that you covered all of them, even if they're in some other order. They at least all have to be checked off like a checklist. Does that make sense?
That does. What's the best way to learn all the styles?
The styles? The best way to learn this, how to speak about style. I use Wikipedia, honestly. Wikipedia, and I'll put some links in for you. If you go here, I know this says, well, let's see, we've got this. And we've got this. I'm not sure which one, but one of these two has the Wikipedia links. Let's see. And it's a great, yeah, this one does. The Wikipedia links are just a great way of learning how to do this. I'll put them in here so you can copy and paste them to a notepad or something. Whoa, how about I take off the attachments? So these are art movements and media types and art techniques and artist names, media titles, right? Chances are something in here will help you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So why do some things work and some don't? That's the next thing we're going to get into, but I think we could probably take a 5-minute break. What do you guys think? Okay, let's take a quick break. 5 minutes, I'll put a timer up, and then you can go grab a drink or just rest your brain for a minute. Let's see. Because we've been here an hour. I've got a timer, but it won't show up on the other screen. So I'll leave us here. All right, we're coming back in just about 1 minute. Bring back into existence. Welcome back to the second half of Promptcraft for Beginners. Gigi, I don't know what time it is for you right now, but we started 1 hour ago. So whatever time it is, 1 hour ago, you're in the 50% mark. It's a 2-hour class. Classic oil portraits have that texture. Remove the phrase classic oil portrait. Use something else, for example, digital art or something like that, just anything else really. Yes, Gigi, there are. Let me give you the URL for our calendar. Midjourney has a calendar of events, which you can find here. Well, now, if I know how to use my clipboard. And Miss Lesh, I hope that my answer helps in practice also. See, here's where our events are. And if you have feedback about this event, I know you've only been to the first half, but if you ever want to help support events, you can jump into this link and leave some feedback. I'll put the link in our other streams as well. So in the second half, we're going to talk about how Midjourney works. How Midjourney works. Okay. How Midjourney works. So it's a big question. Why does Midjourney work the way it does? And sometimes, why doesn't it? The answer is that the whole process, maybe it looks a little bit magical, but under the hood, it's 3 stages. It's training, and it's diffusion, and it's denoising. 3 things. So let's look at each one of these. Training. Look at training. Training begins with data sets like Lion. I don't know if you've ever heard of Lion. It's a data set. Lion is a nonprofit group. And you can Google them at lion. You can go to their website at lion.org. It's a nonprofit group that scrapes images and captions from across the internet, right? Midjourney doesn't scrape. What we do is we purchase a data set from Lion, and then we curate it ourselves. We go in there and we curate it, and that curation matters. We filter for beauty, for usefulness to artists, for ethical use. We cut out screenshots. We might cut out pornography, anything else that doesn't serve our creative practice and our terms of service. So while Lion Scrape is like broad and messy, the set Midjourney actually trains on and uses is hand selected and refined. And from there, like you can imagine this is a collection of images for what keywords go with this, do you think? Call some out for me if you get what I'm talking about. This is like flowers, maybe botany, vines, petals, anything else? Blossoms, leaves.
Horticulture?
Horticulture, I like it. Horticulture. Gardens, thank you. That's a great one. That's obvious, and I can't believe I missed it. Garden. Oh, I don't know. Did I say blooms? Maybe Easter, because Easter has got a lot of to do with flowers. Bouquet. Anyone else? Flora, very good, Mythlesh. Good, Southern Belle. I can't think of anything else. There's got to be more. I guess all the individual flowers, tulips and daisies and things. Oh, arrangement. What a great word. Great idea. So
Flora. Oh, you got Flora.
Flora, yeah. So, okay, we got the idea. This is great. This is great. So training begins with data sets like Lion. And the model is learning these correlations, which words, which we've taken a guess at, which kind of words are correlated to these shapes and colors and textures. So let me do this better than an arrow. Let me put a picture of Midjourney's brain here. So this is Midjourney having learned which words align with shapes, colors, and textures. So Midjourney essentially, this is supposed to be an eyeball. Midjourney essentially kind of looks at these images, and what comes out is it's sort of its knowledge. And the knowledge is not called a brain. I'm gonna freak you out with this new word if you've never heard it before. The space where it keeps all its knowledge is called latent space. And it's not actually called knowledge either, but I don't want to give you too many. No, spring was absolutely great. I'm going to add that in. That's a great one. A great one that would be associated with this sort of thing. Yes. So Midjourney examines all of these images and gathers data about their pixel patterns and correlates them to words. And I'm going to get even more specific than that. Picture every photo on the internet getting turned into TV static. Okay. This is a real seed from real Midjourney, not version 7, but an earlier version of Midjourney. Picture every photo on the internet getting turned into TV static like this, and then slowly teaching the model how to unscramble it again. So as part of this process, every training image is gradually turned into static visual noise in a series of controlled steps. And at each step, the model also learns how to reverse that specific recipe of noise back into the original picture. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the picture of the flower. This is going to be a flower, guys. Just bear with me. Here's our flower. Oh my God, it's awful. Okay. So what Midjourney does with this picture of the flower is it takes steps to turn it into the static. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and so on. To change this image into static, into this television static, which is called, by the way, a seed. And then it, at the same time, learns how to undo what it just did. So let's see if I can grab this picture. copy of it over there. Okay, well, I'd like to put a copy of it over there, but I can't. But I did get a copy of it over here. Oh no, I'm filling up my bar with these things. Help, guys, I've got 6,000 pictures of this flower. Oh my God, help, it's happening and happening. Okay. All right. I should be more prepared. So, and then what I'm trying to tell you is that it does that, and then it takes steps to go back to the flower. This learning, going from here into static and then from static back to the flower, this whole learning thing is called diffusion. If you've ever wondered what diffusion is, it is this process. Steps. Okay? At each step, the model is learning how to reverse that specific recipe of noise back into the original picture. And these pictures are associated with words, right? So it's learning how to create pixel patterns based on words. That's how it develops the skill we rely on later, which is diffusion. So that's the study phase. It's learning correlations. It's making practice runs. So let's see what happens when it actually uses what it learns. So if diffusion is the stage where the model studies and learns, where it's learning how random noise can be turned back into a picture. If diffusion is that, and during training, remember, real images were, I mean, this happens during, diffusion happens during training. Real images gradually scrambled into static. At each step, the model practiced figuring out how to process that static and bring the picture back. And that back and forth practice created rules for how to change noise into images. What I'm trying to say, you guys, is diffusion is the skill, but that skill is not applied until we come along with a prompt. So here we are coming along with a prompt. A vintage flower bed. So we show up with our prompt. A vintage flower bed, Midjourney. So far we've been looking at how the machine learns, right? Hi, dying soul. This is how the machine learns. And this is how the machine keeps what it's learning in the latent space. But now we're going to switch to how it listens. Midjourney, again, starts with your seed. It starts with a patch of random static that was somehow generated using patterns that the model practiced on. And we call that the seed. And again, it looks like television static. And then step by step in waves, the model applies what it learned to sculpt that static into an image that matches your prompt. So we have a vintage flower bed, and it passes through it in waves, and it tries to make a picture, actually makes a batch of pictures that looks like your prompt. That's the application of that diffusion skill. Once we're actually placing pixels like this, once we're changing this into this, it's called denoising, which makes sense, right? Whoops, I left the I. Denoising, which makes sense because, of course, we're starting with noise on the left and we're ending up with an image on the right. Denoising. In fact, Midjourney shows us this denoising process every time we prompt. You guys knew that, right? You see the denoising process. You don't have to guess. It's right there in front of you. If I were to run a prompt, any prompt, Like, oh, I don't know. Let's run the Clarinet craft banner again. If I ran this again, this is a fun one to do because you can see as it starts, it's going to show you a flash of the seed. Well, we went too fast to show you the seed, but you can see that noise slowly resolving. It's literally denoising the noise into an image and shows us the denoising process every time we prompt. That's the progress animation we see, is an example of denoising. So how does your prompt control this denoising and actually make the image you're describing? So that's a fun story. It's fun for me. I'm a nerd. So far, we've talked about how the image forms itself, right? Now let's switch lenses to how you talk to it. So think of every word in your prompt as a bee. Think of every word in your prompt as a bee. Technically, they're called tokens, but we're going to call them bees for now. Okay, a prompt is literally like a swarm. It's not literally like. How is that possible? A prompt is a lot like a swarm of bees. The swarm flies in to the model's latent space, the model's math world called the latent space, and gathers pollen, quote unquote pollen, which is rules about textures and shapes and colors and lighting learned during the model's prior training where it correlated images and words together. So the bees come out laden with pollen, if you will. So in this one, they went in and they pulled out rules for correlated to vintage, rules correlated to flower, rules correlated to bed, rules correlated to A. There's not a whole lot of rules correlated to A. Strong token bees return loaded with pollen. They carry a big visual influence into the image. Weak token bees come back with barely any pollen, or so it's very easy to drown them out, or they don't matter much to the final image. Then there's ambiguous token bees or chaotic token bees. They bring back unexpected pollen or unhelpful pollen or undesirable pollen. Like you say declaration, right? He declares his love, a declaration of love, hoping for romance. And the bee shows up, with a bag of parchment scrolls and quills in 18th century typography, because when he dipped into that part of the latent space for the word declaration, it wasn't for love. It was for the Declaration of Independence. That was the dominant thing associated with declaration. So it ends up being a weak word to use in a prompt because it's not associated with the thing you mean. Right? Mm. So one of the things that happens, whoops. Well, I love the fact that my iPad just turned off. Okay. So we buy time on Midjourney's servers. You know that, right? I mean, we buy time. That's how our whole system with Midjourney works. Is you buy X amount of time, and everything has to happen inside this job. This is called a job, and it's a fixed number of minutes. This job, and when you're and the bees have to do all their work inside of this. They have to handle vintage and flower and bed. I need more colors. And bed, and they have to handle A, which doesn't take a lot of time, and then they have to figure out the fact that a bunch of those overlap. Like, is it a vintage? I mean, let me talk it through. when your timer runs out, it's not just the bees getting cut off mid-flight. Okay, you're filling up the number of minutes you bought. And remember, there's all those steps I talked about. When your timer runs out, it's not just the bees getting cut off with mid-flight. The swarm is only part of the work. So here's part of what we're loading into the time we've bought on our job. The model is also weighing competing token embeddings, little clusters of learned meaning. That's what the pollen is actually called, by the way, if you're into technical terms. These are embeddings. And that's a fun thing to think of, because it's like the bee went in there and scooped out a little bit of stuff in all these different places and carried it off. And so that's what the pollen is embeddings. So the model, it's what the bees brought back, and the model is weighing competing token embeddings, little clusters of learned meaning for words like vintage and flower and bed. Each has several visual interpretations baked in from the training, right? So vintage can mean old-fashioned color grading or antique objects. Flower can mean a single bloom, or it can mean a garden. We discussed this when we looked at all the words that are correlated, right? Bed can mean furniture. A bed can mean flower bed like soil. And when those embeddings overlap, the model has to pick a direction in that tug of war, or really the dominance of the item in the data set will pull it, like gravity. So, you know, it's trying to figure out, is it a vintage flower? Is it a vintage bed? Is it a bed of flowers? Is it a bedspread with floral print? It's a swarm of bees. It's not parsing your sentence. It's not saying it's not saying a swarm of bees, right? A swarm. It's actually saying, right, you can imagine a swarm of bees. It's not going like an LLM to look at the grammar. What it's doing is looking at a by itself, swarm by itself, of by itself, and bees by itself. It's also looking at a swarm of, and of bees. And it's also looking at a swarm of and swarm of bees. It's also looking at the whole thing, a swarm of bees. It's also looking at, just to confuse you, a and bees, a and swarm, a and of, and also swarm and a, swarm and of, swarm of bees, because it's a swarm. It's all happening simultaneously, right? It's not being parsed like a sentence. It's all happening simultaneously. That's why I call it a swarm of bees. All of them are going in there at the same time, and they're all coming out at the same time. And all of that is running on the same clock as conditioning, which is a new word for you. Conditioning. That G kind of gave up, huh? Conditioning, which checks step by step that the image still fits your prompt. And call it beautification. Beautification, if you want to call it that. Something that Midjourney is doing to make sure that it's aesthetic. The final set of passes that polishes color and texture and line and form. So it's one-time budget, but lots of jobs. Conditioning is happening the whole time. Conditioning is happening the whole time. Beautification is happening the whole time. Then all of the prompt wrestling is happening in here, and the token wrestling, right? And the interpretation of the tokens, and sorting out all of the, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And what happens is you run out of time. This is it spilling over, you guys. There's no time left in the job to do all of the things. One-time budget, many jobs. And when the clock hits 0, everything freezes, whatever it was. Bees, conditioning, beautification, all of it is just dropped. Just Midjourney just stops. So I'm going to go ahead and put this is what scares us, is running out of time. So what matters most to us is what Gigi just asked. What matters most to us artists is how Midjourney checks that it's actually getting the image right. That's conditioning. Conditioning is the model's checklist. That's the key to prompt adherence. Does Midjourney's treating your prompt like a checklist, like thus? It's checking both things at every step in this denoising process. Okay, it glances at two things: your checklist, which is the prompt, and what the bees brought back, which is the embeddings. And it uses that to sculpt the image toward your words while keeping it visually coherent. So remember I said Midjourney strives to obey the prompt? That's conditioning. Midjourney's like, okay, hold up. She said vintage. Did I follow these rules? Did I follow these rules? Yes or no? For this? Did I follow these rules for flower? Did I follow these rules for bed? Oh, I put my pointer on the wrong thing. Sorry, guys. Okay. Rules and word. This is the instruction. Go use the vintage embeddings. Go use the flower embeddings. Go use the bed embedding. The conditioning is the checklist. It's called conditioning because did it meet the conditions? Did it meet the conditions of the prompt? Did it meet the conditions of the prompt and the rules for pixel placement? That's why there's a big plus here, because it has to do both. And that's why conditioning often falls off. We don't have enough time to finish conditioning. And if you don't have enough time to finish conditioning, you get one of three mistakes. All together now: blending, dropping details, and incoherence. If you run out of time. So running out of time is just one of many reasons prompt adherence isn't always perfect. Some tokens are ambiguous, some meanings overlap. Common patterns in the training still pull the result towards statistically dominant representations in the training data, which we call archetypes. And sometimes what we've asked for just isn't represented strongly enough in the training data for a coherent picture to form. We've used a word that doesn't correlate to anything. The bee comes back with nothing or with very, very, very little. That's sometimes called representation sparsity. An embedding desert. I thought that was very vivid. Embedding desert. A low density region in latent space, right? There's nothing there. So that's another reason why prompts might fail. So this is why we're spending so much time looking under the hood. This is the whole story informs how we troubleshoot. Our troubleshooting steps depend on knowing how Midjourney actually works. It has limited time, that it defaults to statistically dominant archetypes, that it sends out a swarm of token bees instead of parsing sentences. So once you understand those limits, you can puzzle over the mistakes. You can puzzle over its mistakes, like the way you puzzle over like a curious nautical map. You've almost learned how to read it. I've almost taught you how to read this map. So you stop asking what's the right way to prompt, and you start asking, how can I use this prompt to steer the boat? How can I use this prompt to steer the boat? Do you understand Midjourney's logo now? We're trying to steer the boat. This is latent space. This is the prompt. And this is us. with the rudder. The artist. That's why David chose the boat. Does it get us all the way to where we want to be? Maybe not. But it's something we can use Midjourney. So let me stop and go look at some of the questions here. How do you make sure you get the bees to the right pollen? You have to do a mix of, so it's a really cool question. I'm trying to think of how to answer this. It's a mix of knowing, of using a word that's specific enough to go fetch what you want, Gigi, but also stereotypical enough so that when it gets there, there's something to pick up. So it has to be both specific enough and stereotypical enough, because it has to be specific enough to get to the right pollen, but it has to be stereotypical enough for the pollen to exist at all. You see what you're balancing there? Because if you use a very, 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 very specific word like a northern reticulated chipmunk, Midjourney doesn't find anything for northern reticulated. Who's ever heard of the phrase northern reticulated? Right? It's not in there. Maybe northern, maybe reticulated, maybe, probably not. Reticulated python, you might get a snake. It's not a helpful, it's not specific in a helpful way. Chipmunk, incredibly powerful, very stereotypical word, extremely common. Bound to have something there. So you have to find a balance between the two. You want to be specific enough that it's getting sort of the right direction, and stereotypical enough that there's something there when the bees arrive. How do I remove the words that are unnecessary? Often you don't have to remove the words that are unnecessary because they're not doing anything that hurts you. If you suspect that it's doing something unnecessary, you just literally take them out of the prompt, find some other way to put it. It depends. I can't answer that question generally. I'd have to answer that question for a specific prompt. Because given both time, budget, and the limits of language, the most effective way to improve your results is still the simplest, and that's to troubleshoot the prompt. Not learn the rules of how to write a prompt, not a fruitful path. Don't try to learn how to write prompts. Learn how to troubleshoot the prompt. That's what I've been teaching you. Prompt design is the artist's lever of control. You want to learn how to troubleshoot the prompt. And after you learn how to troubleshoot, you kind of get a sense of fluency, and the prompts that you write are over time going to sort of become prompts that are easier to troubleshoot or take less troubleshooting. So it shortens your process. At first, when we start, yes, you have to be a little bit bossy with it for sure, but not in a way, not Southern Belle in a way that how do I say it? You can't use instructions in a good way for sure, but you can't use instructions. You can't say, no, show more of her hair, show more of her hair, zoom up, zoom out, turn the camera to the left. You can't talk that way. You have to use the tricks I've shown you, which is put it in the prompt, be descriptive. And I'm gonna give you even more details for that in just a second. But let me stop before I go on and see, I just really dumped a lot of information on you. Look at all of this we've covered. It's huge. It's huge. So training, denoising, token bees, conditioning, the fact that all of those tasks take longer than the job, the time we've purchased. They take longer than the time we've purchased. Fall off the end of the time we've purchased. Oops. Everything stops. We don't have time to condition the prompt so the prompt looks full of, so the image has blending or incoherence or drop details. What does that imply? It implies exactly what Southern Belle and Gigi are talking about. It implies that you can optimize your prompts. And that's what we're going to talk about in our last few minutes here, is optimizing the prompt. So how are you doing? It's percolating slowly, making sense? Might need more time to think. Do you need me to go over it again? I don't have to actually go over it again, but you can admit that you want me to. We only have 15 minutes. So it's safe to admit that you want me to, and I won't actually do it. You can watch the recording. Isn't that a great instructor? Do you want me to go over it again? Too bad. Do you love it? Amazing. Okay. So, all right, if Midjourney becomes incoherent and blends and drops details when the prompt is asking for too much or in the wrong way or something, that does suggest there's a way to optimize prompts. And it turns out that when Midjourney gets to decide its own details based on the easy defaults in its training data, it takes a little less processing time. I'm going to say that again because you might have missed it. When Midjourney gets to decide its own details, when Midjourney gets to decide, remember I said control it yourself, control it yourself. But when Midjourney gets to decide its own details, it takes less processing time. Okay, so optimization means starting to understand when Midjourney can do it for you and when you need to step in and control it. And that gets really interesting. Isn't it wild? Absolutely wild. Gigi, I'm not sure I understand your question. Help me out. Restate it. Give me some context. Because I'm just talking, and I didn't see exactly when your question showed up. Also because I've got it so I'm sitting in front of people's questions, which is mistakes, misshaped hands or legs or whatever. You weren't here for the front half of the class, but yes, the fact that we've run out of time and there's not enough time for conditioning is part of the problem. It causes those problems, yes. That's what causes the problem. Nobody's asking about quality. I've just said if you run out of time, you start getting lost details, you start getting blending, you start getting incoherence. What about the quality? I'll put this on here. There's now I'm at 7%. You guys, this is crazy. Okay. This parameter --Q stands for quality. So quality, that sounds like it should solve the problem. What it does, there's all kinds of things to learn about quality. So draft mode is at 0.5 quality. That means it uses half the time, probably a little bit less than half the time. So if you don't want to spend your minutes, use draft mode. But if it's only got half the time, then what's down? Adherence is very, very low. And 0.5 or draft mode. You can set quality to 1.0. This is default. This is where if you've never heard of quality, you've been working in 1.0 this whole time. You can go to 2. You can't do 1.5, but you can do 2. And there's no name for that, but it's double the time. So you can actually spend twice as much minutes. Like if you're willing to spend double the minutes on your prompt, you can use 2, and then it goes up to 4. There's nothing in between. It's 0.5, 1, 2, and 4. And this is quadruple the time. So if you're willing to spend 4 times the amount of minutes, now remember I said 0.5 adherence goes down. So you're thinking to yourself, oh, excellent. So adherence will go up if I just pay for it. Right? That's what this implies. Adherence will go up if I just use 2.0 or 4.0. That's the answer. It is not the answer. Because remember, all of these things are happening to the prompts. Now, I only wrote down 3 of them. I wrote down the embeddings being interpreted, which is called something. Oh, anyway, I won't. So there's this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and this is the biggest one. Quality only increases number 3. Quality only spends time on beautification. It only targets beautification. So if you go up to 4 over here, your beautification is going to be intensely good. What does that mean for you? You get details, you get really well-formed shapes, you get very completed lines, you get very saturated on par colors, right? It's the beautification that has gone up. Prompt adherence is prompt adherence is conditioning. It's not given extra time. It's just beautification. So those of us who are hungry for prompt adherence, Midjourney really isn't about prompt adherence. Those of us that are trying to create specific images, very specific images, we're actually in the minority of users. We're all in this class. We're all trying to learn how to do it. There are ways to do it. But Midjourney is very focused on aesthetics and beauty and exploration of styles. And so its quality is all about the beautification of the deepening of the aesthetic of your image, not about the prompt adherence. So that is the story of why Q does not help you as much as you would like. Wendy, did you know that already? Bet you knew that. Wonderful World of Stuff says S1000 plus Q4 plus EXP 2 million will be so beautiful you will turn to stone. It's true. Okay. So somewhere I have here where we're going next in the last few minutes. Well, now. I thought drawing on the whiteboard is way more interesting than these slides. But I do have slides. I want to talk about optimization. What kind of conditioning takes more time? Well, that would be this troubleshooting step number 3, Mithlesh. Chaotic tokens are words that Midjourney can't convert into concrete renderable imagery. And this could cause a loss of control over the canvas because Midjourney is wasting cycles on them. So you've got stuff like this, Mithlesh. Make sure the lighting is dramatic. Doesn't work as much. jargon, f1.8 aperture, 16-bit linear EXR, Unreal Engine, 4K, 16K HD, that sort of thing. Abstract concepts like a fairy overcome by a feeling of dread. What does a feeling of dread look like? These are things that steer Midjourney off in directions you may not find desirable. So you end up wanting, hold on. You end up wanting to use words that Midjourney understands. Okay, there we go. Midjourney, use words that Midjourney understands, Mithlesh. Punctuation, grammar, and spelling can matter. I showed that earlier in the class. No negation or absence. You can't say a unicorn without a horn, because a horn is definitional to a unicorn. No commands or conversation or instruction. Avoid technical specifications and use dense visual language. We don't have time to go through all of these, but no, you don't have to just guess. You can use dense visual language, Gigi. Write your prompt with the most useful words that you get, you'll become fluent in. These are words that Midjourney can turn into pictures. Ask yourself, what does it look like? Ask yourself, does it contribute to... Oh, you guys aren't seeing the slides this whole time. It must not have made any sense what I was saying, because I was gesturing to the slide. I know. I mentioned that I'm bringing up slides and no one said what slides until now. Okay. Dense visual language means writing your prompt with only useful words. So words that Midjourney can turn into pictures. Ask yourself, what does it look like? They have to contribute in one of two ways, Gigi. They have to contribute either to pattern matching. The word has to contribute to pattern matching. So in other words, just long strings of words separated by commas are not very helpful because they don't match the patterns in the training data very well. We all write with punctuation. We strive to use the correct spelling. We strive to use the correct grammar. Most of the stuff, therefore, in the training also has correct grammar and correct spelling and correct punctuation. And so it is helpful for us to mimic that in our prompts because it helps the pattern matching. So that's one thing you want to do. The other thing you want to do is what it says on this slide that you could finally see. Inefficient or chaotic tokens. Midjourney doesn't know how to turn them into pictures, but they still use the steps. They still use your time. So helpful words are descriptive or visually evocative, like textures and colors and shapes and materials. You don't just play with it. You know what you're going to play with. Very, very specific. It's very well defined. We actually have a list. Okay, let me scroll back and look at some of the questions. I answered Mithlesh's first question. Hi, Art of Monk. Is it possible to make my own portrait photo into the character I wanted? Yes. Yes, it is. This is a beginner's class. That is an advanced process. But if you stick around at the end of the class, I will show it to you. Is this webinar saved later for the review of everyone? Yes, yes, it is. Let me give you the various places where you can find it. If you are interested in catching up with this later or pointing an AI at it to have the AI catch you up later, you can go to YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. No, not TikTok, not today. TikTok is limiting their broadcast to gaming only. So unless we're gaming, they will not let me stream. They literally deny this stream. So YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So that question is answered. The next question was, how am I supposed to figure this out? Just play with it until I get what I want. No, I've given you a ton of rules. Well, not rules, guidelines that help you zero in on the type of language to use. And I've given you troubleshooting steps. So if your prompts don't perform as expected, you can use the troubleshooting steps to go over them. Is it possible to delete the unwanted image results on Midjourney directly? It's really frustrating. You can hide them from yourself, but you can't delete them. It's a soft delete. Let's see if I can show you an example of that. Hold on, I'm in full screen. So if I want to hide these, there's a hide button here. And then if I go into organize, I can actually select, I can hide huge groups of things. Like if I select today, there's a menu at the bottom. I can do hide. That hides it from me, gets it out of my way so I can see what I want to see. Doesn't hide it from the public. If you want to hide it from the public, you unpublish. Most of you will have unpublished grayed out and not available to you unless you pay for the account that has publishing and unpublishing rights. Then you can unpublish, which hides it from everyone also. So you can unpublish it, which hides it from everyone, and then you can hide it, which hides it from yourself. And then that is the closest thing we have to a soft delete. Can a moderator still see it? Dig in your account and see it? Yes. Gigi says, okay, then, since these descriptive words can be different or slightly different, then it's the adjacent words that drive how it will look, correct? No. They're all of it all at once. Every word you use has dotted lines out to all the other words you use, and they're just like a giant swarm. So it's not whether the words are, it's not only that the words are adjacent or that the words are far from each other or that this word is slightly different than this word. It's not just those things. It's all of those things, and it's all at once. If you were here for the B speech, you would understand what I'm talking about. The best I can do with the time we have is just zoom in and say, your prompt is like a swarm of bees. Here's a vintage flower bed. It goes into the latent space where Midjourney stores its rules. It emerges with the rules correlated, the words correlated with your tokens. And then it becomes the part of the checklist of things it pays attention to when it starts putting down pixel patterns. It checks, as you see, it checks the embeddings, the knowledge, the rules for pixel placement, and it checks your prompt, and then it checks the rules in your prompt and the rules in your prompt and the rules in your prompt. Okay, and that's what's called conditioning. It's called conditioning because it's asking, did it meet the conditions of your prompt and of these rules? And that's how it builds your image. And that's called denoising. I hope that helped, Gigi. Harpagon asks, what does it mean if I run out of fast hours? Because I'm sure I haven't made 200 prompts this month. Here in the chat, you can type the command /info, and it will give you a display of your account. The equivalent to /info is to go onto the website and click your own name. And I think it's here. No, where does it tell you? Where does it tell you your fast hours? Here we go. Here. But as far as I know, what's on the /info command is the most helpful. So definitely try /info while you're here with me. Oh my God, you didn't see that the whole time. You can click your own name. You can go to account settings. You can click your own name. You can go to manage subscription. That's what I was showing when I was talking and you guys were staring at the whiteboard. Manage subscription right here. But I think /info gives you more information when I think about it. So the next question was, great, thanks, says Monk, but how do I unpublish them? You have to have a particular account type. So I'm going to manage subscription. I'm in the Pro plan, and because of the Pro plan, I have stealth mode generation. Stealth mode means I have access to the unpublish option, Monk. But without the Pro plan, you do not have that option. All of your stuff remains public. The best you can do is hide it from yourself. You can't unpublish without a Pro plan. Hi, Stu. By the way, I've got this thing. I don't know if you're seeing glimpses of it, but it's like a stress ball thing. You want to talk about, yeah, I can unpublish. You have to be able to get the Pro plan. That's the only one that has stealth mode, right? Yeah, it's the only one that has stealth mode. $48 a month. Not bad, considering that's also video and it's also HD. It's amazing. Okay. Putting a check mark on that question. All right. Wow, you guys. I think I need to find my slides again. Do. So I think I can say congratulations, you magnificent weirdos. I think you've made it. I think those of you who have been here for the whole 2 hours, you've officially graduated from prompting for beginners, which means 2 things. 1, you now know more than 90% of Midjourney users. And 2, you are cursed to see every single chaotic token on Reddit or in Explore and silently scream. Because now you get a sense from having been through all this, what tokens in people's prompts are high performance and what might be causing trouble. It's not that that those tokens are bad. There's no right way to prompt, but you can kind of look at those prompts and go, I see. If they were after something very specific, they might be troubleshooting this. So the support doesn't end here. I'm not going to just release you into the wild and say good luck. You get 24/7 prompting support with your membership. We have a web-based Promptcraft support room. I've put the link in your chat there. You have the Discord-based Promptcraft support room, which is the same name as this one, but it's the text one upstairs. Those of you who are watching a recording or who are on another channel, the description has these links in it So I've put these links in the chat here for the Discord folks. If you want those links to click on them, they are down in the description of this event. So crack that open and grab those links. And if you are interested in supporting events and trying and maybe getting a copy of these slides, which I've been saying that for like 6 months, I really am working toward getting everyone copies of the slides. Go ahead and fill out this form. If you filled it out before, Mythlash, I know you're back again. Many of you I see have come back more than once. I appreciate that. And even if you filled it out, fill it out again. And say the same thing, say something new. The slides are not themselves animated, but you can watch the recording nonetheless. The recordings are available here. That's about as animated as you get. Oops, I posted in yes instead of posting this. That's what I wanted to post. And those of you watching on a recording, thinking to yourself, I can't click on those. They're just on the screen. They're in your they're in the description. It should be in the description. Stu says, I did what we were talking about the other day with ranking images and picked vintagey style photos to make a new profile. I did it over a few 10-minute sessions and it worked really well. Thanks for that tip. Oh, you're welcome. Excellent. I think profiles are very underused tool. Does anyone else have any questions? Are you aware that there is even more going on at Midjourney today? Did you know about Prompt Battle, which is arguably way more fun than all this educational stuff and is also educational? During the prompt battle, what happens, Monk, in case you want to try it, is somebody comes up with like, let's all prompt puppies, and then everyone prompts puppies, and then you vote for the winner of the puppy round. And whoever the winner is comes up with the next thing, like let's all prompt astronauts. And then everyone tries to do something astronaut and clever, and then everyone votes, and then the winner of the astronaut round gets to pick the new round. And you just go like that and have conversations, and it's fun. It's very low key, very chill, very fun. Could you answer my question with the image, please? I would love to. I must have missed it. Let me scroll up. Oh, and I missed Harpagon's question. Hold on, Harpagon. I see you. Monk, can you repeat your question, please? I can't find it. Oh, thank you. Oh, I just totally looked right at this guy and didn't see him. There he is. Closer. Take a look at this. I wanted my image as an ancient hero, but it gave me this result. How can I remove my modern style of hair? Well, what's your prompt? To troubleshoot, you have to take a look at the prompt. Would it be possible for you to paste in the full text of the prompt you're working with? You know what being on cam does for me? It shows me how often I have one eyebrow raised. Exactly. Can I do that? I think I'm much more attractive this way. Wouldn't it be exciting if I could have earbuds in and a microphone on the desk so that I'm not wearing this giant thing? You could see the shape of my head. That would be fascinating. The big shape of Clarinet's head reveal day. I would look so profesh. I would. Right now it's a mystery. What shape is my head? What shape could it be? Is it long? Is it wide? Is it ego style? Create an image of mid-century Mongolian warrior wearing traditional Mongolian helmet and armor using the reference photo. Okay. So, Monk. Midjourney does not speak, it does not understand instructions or commands. So you can't use instructions or commands. I'm so glad you're here that we can teach you this. But what it does understand is dense visual language. It understands visual language. So what you'd want to say, actually, you know what we can do that might be fun for me, maybe for you, would be to use the prompt helper, because I'm going to give the prompt helper to all of you. There we go. Prompt is description, not instruction. So check out what happens when I give it to the prompt helper here. It's a very intelligent description you've got going there, Monk. Let's break this down. You've got an awesome historical vision here. I agree. But we need to fix a few things to fit the Midjourney 7.0 prompt language format, okay? Step 1, deconstruct your prompt. Create an image of. It's an imperative. Midjourney V7 does not support command style instructions. That's what I was trying to tell you. Using the reference photo. Let's assume you'll use OREF and your reference image as the proper way to ground the image. Johnny, could you grab the OREF docs link for him, please? Yeah. Thank you. Mid-century Mongolian warrior, great. Specific, visual, culturally grounded, very nice. Wearing traditional Mongolian helmet and armor, excellent specific costuming cues. Thanks, Johnny. Here, Monk, is the reference documentation for the Omni parameter that looks like this. Full body character. If you want a full body character, you have to add ground, boots, helmet, proper aspect ratio. This is true. Why does it say ChatGPT? Okay. So we're going to remove the imperative and recast. You didn't give a style either. Earlier in the class, you weren't here for it. Earlier in the class, we said you need to make sure you're controlling subject, the background, and the style. So style isn't in your prompt. So the prompt helper just gave you some choices. Documentary style photographs, cinematic lighting, historical illustration, National Geographic photo. Which one do you want to go for, Monk? I'll type it in. Monk is probably deep in the documentation and not over here. Okay, I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick a historical illustration. So assuming you're using an Omni reference and want a full body view, we've got a Mongolian warrior in traditional lamellar armor and pointed steel helmet, standing on a dry grassland in leather boots, holding a curved saber to side. Long black hair flows from beneath the helmet. Full body is visible, frame from head to toe. I don't know if I like that. But often, often it knows better than I do. So if, Monk, if you give me the URL to the image that you're trying to make his face somebody else, yourself. You're trying to make your face yourself. If you give me that image of you, maybe in DM or something, well, everyone's going to see it if I do it in the class. You can? Okay. I mean, you know what I look like. I strive to be a little bit old and a little bit fat so that everyone else looks hot. So here we go. Everyone else, you're going to look amazing. That's my gift to you. I have magic in my hand.
Whoa.
I don't know what that looks like on cam, but it'll reform into a perfect shape if I leave it here long enough, which is kind of entertaining. Its perfect default shape is a gumdrop.
Wow.
Oh, do you see my hand trembling? That's a multiple sclerosis for you. Oh yeah, that's why I needed Midjourney, you guys, because you stop being able to craft, stop being able to paint. Midjourney brings great equity to some of us. I didn't know this looked like magic on cam. That's very, very entertaining. Okay, this is you. Oh, you're a good-looking fella. Okay, so hello, how you doing? How you doing? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna grab the link, and I'm gonna grab the prompt that the prompt helper gave us. Hold on. Heck. Okay. Now it looks like this. It's just going to be very hard to look at, but that's what it looks like. And I'm going to put that into Midjourney. Create this. See how it popped it into the Omni reference? Now, Art of Monk. You could have clicked and uploaded the image to your images, which I can't show you. Let me send that in. Could have clicked this button where it says, you see, add images on the left of the Imagine bar here, and added the image, right? And then chosen it by dragging to the Omni reference. You could have done that. What we did instead was put the URL directly in the prompt. And when you put the URL directly in the prompt, as you can see, Midjourney just it understands what we're doing. Whoops. And puts it in as Omni reference. So this Omni reference was strength 400. Weight is called weight. 400. So let me put this away and see what it did, because I've got all this stuff in the way. Okay. Does that look like yourself? A little bit? Almost, roughly. Now, OREF won't do deepfakes. In other words, OREF won't get so close. OREF won't get so close that it looks exactly like a photograph of you. It's not going to fool anyone. You're not going to be able to give these to your family, and they're not going to go, oh my God, when did you have time to find this costume? Where did you get this portrait taken? Oh my gosh, your family will never be fooled. And possibly you will never be fooled, because there's going to be subtle differences. But for a stranger who knows you somewhat, like a work colleague, might very well say that this looks just like you. And this is actually, I'm spending some time talking about it because this is actually neuroscientific fact that we are so sensitive to faces that OREF works very, very well if it's the face of a stranger, and not at all well if it's the face of someone who is part of your inner circle. And it's not OREF that's changing, it's you. So if I just do copy prompt and give this to you. Now, you gave me a picture of a guy sitting in a throne. If you wanted a guy sitting on a throne, you'd have to change the prompt to talk about the guy sitting in the throne. But I will leave that up to you, Mr. Art of Monk. Okay. Very good, very good. You want all 4 of these? Hold up. There you go. If you want to pick them up individually, you can go to my profile. If you ever want to share your profile with people, go to your tap your name, and then go to account settings, and then your public profile is the first thing in your account settings, and it has everything that you have published. I apparently have been in stealth mode since I did these flowers, so all of my stuff is unpublished since then. So how long ago was that? It was a long time ago. When did I do these flowers? A long time ago. A long time ago. Yeah, publish images. That's it's you got to pay for the privilege, but it's pretty cool. This is supposed to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Can get pretty close. Yeah, well, we don't know him, so he might look at that and go, eh.
Mm-hmm.
I see the poodle abandoned her post. Does anyone want me to give a biscuit to the poodle?
Yeah.
Okay, you see, now do I get some engagement? If I can get, let's see, there's 20 people in the call. If I can get 7 of you to say, yes, give the poodle a biscuit, I will give the poodle a biscuit.
Give the poodle a biscuit.
2, 3. Hey, Jenny. Jenny. We've got 4 people saying to give you a biscuit. Go place. Oh, yes. Oh. Aw. Hold on. You gotta. Come on up. Come on. Come on. There you go. Oh, yeah, she walks away to eat it. Biscuit. Biscuit. Jenny.
Jenny. You're a dog.
That's the best part of the class.
Nom nom nom.
She is nom-nomming. It's very loud. When I switch my microphone, I can put the microphone down so you can hear her. Good ASMR. Yeah, you want some more? Okay, where are you go? Where are you going? Okay, she's gone. Oh, Snoopy, is this your dog or is this just a GIF? Oh, it's so close though, Wendy. That's very cool though. That there are dogs that have her little look. She's back to see if maybe I dropped one. You're so fluffy. Hello. What's going on? She's just in biscuit mode, eh? Trying to get her to look at the camera, but she's just like, no biscuits, please. More biscuit. I don't know if she's had 2. She's had 4 technically because I gave her 2 when I walked in here. True story. I did not know that. Okay. So I think you've all had time to fill out the tally form, which I'll put in here again, and to decide whether you want to sign up for any of the other reminders for different classes and events. They're not listed endlessly forward. They go out about 4 weeks and then they taper off, and then we'll add more events as the time approaches. So grab that. You know where the documentation is, I hope. You know that you have 24/7 support here in Discord and on the web. You know that we're always looking for volunteers. So if you want to be a community volunteer, let me or Johnny Bones know. Or Wonderful World of Stuff. And we will happily help you become a volunteer. Other than that, I think the poodle has the right idea. We should go take a break and rest up for prompt battles. Prompt battles. Ready, set, break. Okay, everyone. See ya.